mais je me relèverai pas. Sur moi, tu t'étais trompé. J'ai envie de crier à quel point je l'aime. Et ça, c'est ma destinée. Je sais que c'est dur pour toi. Du temps, il te faudra. Mais je suis sûre de moi, je veux te quitter. Je sais que c'est dur.
Good night. Good night, Silvati. Yes, I'm smiling because I'm happy that I'm finally on the air. We had a little technical difficulties a while ago trying to get stuff up and going. I guess because of the rain yesterday, the internet was down. So because of the internet being down and the system being on all the time, the whole stuff needed to be configured over and things like that. But I'm happy that I'm on. I hope you guys are seeing me well and hearing me well. If not, please send me a BB, send me a message on Facebook. Let me know if you're viewing or hearing everything well, because we seem to be having some issues at times where people say that the volume is extremely low and the picture is cutting off in and out now and again. But all those things we will be working on in the future. We are trying our best to get everything upgraded and, move in a positive direction, but things take time. But let me say good night to each and every one of you. I hope you're doing fine. Welcome to the program, www.SXMTalk.com. I'm your host, of course, Christopher Emmanuel, and we're going to have a pretty spirited discussion this evening. That's why I posted the topic, and I said protect our students. But let me say good night to my boy, Reg. Reginald, good night. I hope you're doing fine. I know you're down in Aruba. Medical reasons. I hope everything work out well for you. Reg is the main maestro who organize and get things running. So we miss him really here on the program. Ananda, good night. Let me also say good night to my girl, Dots. Dots, how you doing? I hope you're fine. I hope, close the door. I hope everything is well with you. Well, also with the grace of God, slowly but surely getting this terrible flu that I had out of my system. But it's taken a very, very long time. But I want to get into this program and this discussion because, things has happened here in St. Martin, and it's only after, for a very long time, we just really understand why certain things has happened, even though we just see the movements in the beginning, I want to read a newspaper article today that came out, the Daily Herald, Monday, May 7, 2012. It says, Arundel links S4 director dismissal to carnival coup. You'll see me looking on this side because this is the side with the screen that I have to read the article. The cough, but let me start to read this article because I'm going to dissect this article, and I now understand and I now see why our students in Holland, they are not getting their due. They are not getting what they deserved. They are not getting rightfully, their allowances so that they can concentrate on their studies. And now, this thing really have me upset. It have me troubled because I was in Holland one time. And the support group that we had in Holland was called at the time SSNR. Because all the islands was one, it was a Curacao-based organization with a few St. Martiners in it. And it was functioning well. Now we have S4. All right? But let me read this article. Sorry. It says, Minister of Education Rhoda Arundel on Sunday linked the recent dismissal of S4 director Marva Richardson by the board of S4 to Member of Parliament Romain Laville's recent decision to serve as an independent MP, supporting the government to be led by the National Alliance. Arundel identified the treasurer of the S4 board as the person who apparently orchestrated the demise of the S4 director and who also has been parading himself as an advisor to MP Romain Laville and the NA faction. I know where she get her from, but it ain't her fault because all of them going basity and going crazy now. So they pulling all kind of rubbish out of the air and trying to associate it with all kind of things. The article goes on to say, Arundel added, among the personal reasons he may have for wanting to dismiss the S4 director is the fact that the S4 director had dismissed a staff member with whom he reportedly had a relationship at the time. Sorry, it goes on to say, Arundel also raised the issue of the composition of the S4 board. Listen, the S4 board consists of 5 members, none of them from St. Martin, and none with the exception of the treasurer who recently moved to St. Martin to work here, ever lived in St. Martin, and cannot therefore relate to the reality of the St. Martin students. Remember I said I'm going to dissect it, but bear that in mind and keep that in mind. None of them on the board are St. Martiners. This is coming from the Minister of Education. But let me go on. The S4 director is a St. Martiner who has a profound understanding of the St. Martin students' needs and the government's policies, direction, she said. Could it be a coincidence that the S4 director was fired immediately after the so-called Carnival coup to bring down the up-led coalition government? The episode brings to mind the riveting 1999 play Coups and Calypso by award-winning author and playwright Marlene Norbercy Phillip. She said she was terribly disappointed and seriously concerned about the recent dismissal of the S4 director. I am sure Dr. Anders, Marva Richardson is very capable of defending herself against the media campaign unleashed against her by the S4 board following her dismissal. However, I want to make it abundantly clear that the interests of more than 200 students, 200 St. Martin students in Holland, is currently not best served by the modus operandi of the current S4 board, Arundel said. She said Richardson's dismissal came at the most inappropriate time, given that preparations for the new batch of students going to study in the Netherlands this year will commence soon. She conceded that as a private foundation, Richardson's employer, the S4 board, had every right to act in every way it deemed fit. However, the foundation was established by the St. Martin government with the sole purpose of taking care of St. Martin students in the Netherlands, thereby replacing the former SSNA, which performed their function before, she noted. What concerns me most about the manner in which the dismissal of the director took place is that the reasons given by the board are so vague, unsubstantiated, recalling events that apparently led to this new situation, Arundel said. On March 6, 2012, I held a discussion with members of the S4 board at a meeting I had convened in my office and informed them that based on the actions of the S4 board and reports in the media, I had concerns that the board was not following the same path as the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Youth Affairs regarding its study financing policies for students abroad. It goes on to say, I also made it clear to the board that as minister, I was very satisfied with the function of S4 Director, Dr. Marva Richardson. I stressed that in my opinion, the director had been executing the ministry's policies almost to the letter. As the aforementioned meeting, the S4 treasurer assured me that there will be improved communications between the S4 board and the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, and Youth Affairs. However, rather than improve communication between the S4 board and the ministry became almost non-existent, while at the same time the board prohibited the S4 director from communicating directly with the ministry, contrary to the explicit stipulations of the existing service level agreement between government and S4, R&L said. She said the treasurer had inquired at the meeting mentioned whether by expressing her confidence in the S4 director, it was implied that the board should take their hands off her. I answered, and basically that was the idea because she was executing very well the policies of the ministry. Her subsequent dismissal shortly therefore after could therefore be construed as a power play. The board trying to show that it could do as it pleases regardless of the opinion of the minister, Arundel said. She also noted that this was not the first time the S4 board had problems with its director. There has been only 2 directors since S4 was established, both of them highly qualified St. Martin women, and both of them unceremoniously dismissed by the board. How can a person have a problem with all his neighbors and the neighbors all be the problem, she asks. In the past 2 years, the S4 director had been able to give government more than, and remember this, to give government more than 1 million guilders. Sorry. More than 1 million guilders when she cooperated with government to have the funds returned to St. Martin to use for other education projects. She was reprimanded by the board. In the past 2 years, the S4 director had been able to save government more than 1 million guilders. In February of this year, as part of the efforts to undermine the S4 director, the board hired a so-called coach at a fee at 14,000 euros per month, even though she does not work full-time. When I raised the issue of where the board would find the monies to pay her, I was informed that the appointment was just for a month, yet the coach remains employed up to this day. Now, St. Martin. Yeah, the cough getting to me. Let me say this. If I was the Minister of Education, and this is happening to our students in Holland, she should resign. Because clearly the Minister of Education was and is not doing her job. Listen to me. In this whole article that I read, I know I was coughing and stuff, but in this whole article that I read, nowhere has they mentioned about the caring, protecting, ensuring the safety of our students in Holland and what is rightfully theirs. Nothing has been mentioned about that. Everything is about the director, monies, and the board. Okay? Everything that has been mentioned there is about the foundation. This is the reason why our students is suffering. This is the reason why you keep hearing them talking about their insurance, about the rooms and the conditions that they are living in. Now I'm saying to myself, listen. Yes, it may be a foundation, but I stand to be corrected on this. Isn't it the taxpayers' money of St. Martin that is paying the S4 board? Where is the S4 board getting their monies from? Am I right or wrong? Where are they getting their money from? Now, the S4 board managed to save government $1 million guilders. That's why the students and them is not getting their fair due. Because it's all about government cuts. It's all about government austerity measures. It's all about saving government money when government themselves are recklessly spending the money. Okay? Now, you as the Minister of Education, you is responsible for the well-being and the welfare of students abroad wherever we have them in the world. And if S4 board is not doing their job, you have an obligation to restructure the board. So if you can't do it at a foundation because it's private, then simply set up a St. Martin board with St. Martiners on it. Huh? So for 2 years, you let the S4 board function with non-St. Martiners on it. Why? Because the director was saving government and she was following the minister's policies to the T. So all of those things that was going on in the board, you didn't care about it because she was following the minister's letter and opinions to the T. But now that she's dismissed, the dirty laundry of the board is coming out. And in the meantime, while all those things are happening, St. Martin students are suffering. Huh? St. Martin students are suffering. This is what parents are sending their students to Holland for. Because you guys are the vanguard of saving them and protecting them. But that's not what you're doing. You're just concerned that Marva Richardson is saving St. Martin government money. When our students in Holland need it, they talk about not getting their computers. They talk about not getting their book of health. They talk about not getting their regular set of monies because she's saving government money. So you like what she was doing because she was following your letter to the T. This is ridiculous. This is nonsense. And then all of a sudden now it was a coup. This Romain Laville is your colleague. He was your colleague. Huh? But what about the students? What about the students' rights in Holland? St. Martin have an obligation to protect our sons and daughters that we send abroad. You people are wicked people. So all of a sudden now you know these things going on with the board. You as the Minister of Education, you have an obligation to protect our students. So if you realize that these things was happening for the past 2 years and you did nothing, the burden of proof and consequences falls on your shoulders, former Minister Rhoda Arundel. It falls on your shoulders. So how we can have an S4 board? How we can have a board taking care of St. Martin students, like you mentioned, none of them is from St. Martin, none of them live in St. Martin, so they don't know the reality of the St. Martin student, and you let the board continue? You didn't have an opinion on that? Who set up the board? St. Martin set up the board. St. Martin's who set up the board. And like I said, I stand to be corrected, but I would like to know the monies that the S4 board receive, where does it come from? Because if it's coming from the taxpayers of St. Martin, I don't want to hear nothing about a private foundation. I don't want to hear it. Then you simply send the S4 board a letter. Sorry, the government of St. Martin does not have confidence in your operations when it regards to the St. Martin students. Thus, the reason why we will be setting up our own board. Thank you for your business and cooperation. And that's it. But you haven't done nothing. Okay? You haven't done nothing. But because now that you're out, and then Marva is out, you have all what to say now. These are the kind of things that it makes me upset. It makes me upset because clearly when I read this article here, when I read it, I am not seeing nothing that says the welfare, the protection, the safety, the well-being of St. Martin students. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it at all. But you want to link the S4 director of dismissal to a carnival coup. I was going to say something, you know. Who the hell cares? What is the concern here? The concern here is the well-being of St. Martin students. That's the concern. The protection of our students in Holland. That's our obligation. And if St. Martin people, taxpayers' money is funding S4, that they could save the government 1 million guilders, I don't give a damn about what board is functioning or not. What I care about is how our students are surviving and living in Holland. And if the board is not satisfactory and they are non-existent because they are not communicating with you, then you have an obligation to jump on a plane, head off to The Hague, find the S4 board and have a meeting with them, and you put your foot down. But no, what are you do? Tallahassee, Monroe College, we signed MOU. We up in a picture. Swaliga Foundation, we going to in the state in Holland. But these are the kind of things happening to our students. I am glad that all you out. I am happy that all you out. Okay? Monies that are allocated to our students. This is the reason why there was having their insurance problem. Why you haven't mentioned the insurance problem in the article? Huh? For months, for a whole year, students have been bawling and complaining about insurance, that they was getting a boot about insurance. You was mute on the issue. We had a guy on Villarreal, okay, I think his name is Elton Villaria, something like that, talking about this situation. We haven't heard nothing from you. Whenever it concerns the students and the hardship that they are going on, the government says nothing. The ministry says nothing. But the director was doing a good job because she saved government 1 million guilders to put in other educational projects. What other educational projects was there put in? Because I haven't seen nothing done on St. Martin. What? Get on the block, get off the block? What is up with that? What is going on with that? We have an obligation to protect our students in Holland because they are our children, they are our students, and they are our future. And if the blinking 1 million guilders is there to make their lives easier, then so be it. Let it be. Because when I hear here in St. Martin, parading up and down in our M1 and M this, driving here and driving there, free gasoline, are you enjoying the taxpayers' money? You guys are enjoying it. Man, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous to see the kind of treatment that we are getting. This is the reason why the young MP said, UP have made the lives of St. Martin people harder in 2 years. Whether he said it or not, I agree with the statements. You guys make it 10 times harder. Not even since after Hurricane Lewis has things been so bad. Huh? Anyway, I believe it's time for us to take a short break because we're going to come back with some issues. Let me get this coughing under control a bit. Sorry. And we'll be right back with some more discussion on this topic.
mindful, don't hurt her. No, no, be mindful, don't hurt her. Whoa. He'll treat her, she'll treat you. Cheat on her, she cheat on you. Your choice, your call. Anything you want, she'll give you. You played the game unfair. Don't you wish that she was there? Now you're all alone. Whose fault? It's your own. Karma, karma. She's a serious woman. Karma, karma. Don't underestimate her powers. Karma, karma. Never ever you neglect her. Karma, 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 karma. Next time, you better think first. Oh, before you go and break another heart and cause hurt. You might not get a next time. No, just for life work. Hey, and there are consequences for all your dirty works. Why? Karma, karma. She's a serious woman. Karma, karma. Don't underestimate her powers. Karma, karma. What a serious woman. Karma, 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 karma. So simple, you better do her right or she'll haunt you. It's so easy, you better get on her good side, believe me. Boy, 'cause she can get ugly, she can get wild. And you know her, so when she not smile, she can be loving, she'll make you smile. It's your choice, so make up your mind. Karma, karma, don't underestimate your powers.
Yes, and welcome back. Welcome back to the program. We're going to take a short break, as usual. And my apologies for, belting out the coughing in our ear all the time. And you see it, I have this dry cough that I'm working on. It have been with me for a while, so my apologies to that again. And yes, I received a BB a while ago telling me that I should calm down and cool out. I know, but and I say it over and over all the time, right? This is my country. It's my country. And whenever there's something hampering, hurting, destroying my country, my people, it personally affects me. When I read this article today, I shook my head. And I said, only in St. Martin can these kind of things happen. Only in this lovely island, only in this sweet place. Because here we have a minister of education. Main concern is the manner in which the S4 director or the former S4 director, Marva Richardson, is following. And let me stress on what she said here. I also made it clear to the board that as minister, I am very satisfied with the functioning of the S4 director, Dr. Marva Richardson. I stressed that in my opinion, the director had been executing the ministry's policies almost to the letter. This is the reason why education is in the mess that it's in. Okay? Because if that is the way she is following the ministry's policies, then something is wrong with the level of education that students are getting. Because it goes on to say, at the aforementioned meeting, the S4 treasurer assured me that there would be improved communications between the S4 board and the Ministry of Culture, Education, Sports, and Youth Affairs. In the past 2 years, listen to this, in the past 2 years, the S4 director had been able to save government more than $1 million when she cooperated with the government to have the funds returned to St. Martin to use for other education projects. Minister of Education, the Honorable Rhoda Arundel, please explain to me, what other educational projects are you talking about? Because in the 2 years, I haven't seen nothing relating to education coming out of the ministry besides get off the block, get on the bus. I haven't seen nothing else. Okay? Besides wanting to change the anthem, changing the St. Martin name, the spelling, all sort of things that the people of St. Martin vehemently stood up for and was against. Okay? What other educational projects are you talking about? Huh? And in addition to that, you know, this is the reason why the country is the way it is. Let me explain this. The S4 board is not in the business of financing and saving money. Okay? They are not a profit-driven foundation. And if that is the case, then the S4 board should be disbanded, okay? And a new board with St. Martin people should be instituted for our students. Because it's like GEBE, a government-owned company that should not be in the business of profit-making, is making millions and millions of guilders while the condition and the quality of our water, right, is filthy. Because everything that St. Martin have to put their hands on, it have to be there to make money. To make money on the backs of the people of St. Martin. This is the reason why the quality of service for our students in Holland was at this level. And no one is responsible or should be held responsible but you, minister. No one should be held responsible. I don't care if the board communication between the board and the ministry was non-existent. What was your role then? What was your position in that? What did you do to clarify that? What did you do to straighten it out? Huh? So it comes back to this point. Is it the monies that the S4 board receives comes from the taxpayers of the St. Martin people? Because if it's the St. Martin people, tax money is paying the S4 board, that the S4 board could have turned around and generate to the excess of 1 million guilders in 2 years to save and send back to the St. Martin government, right? Then the S4 board and the Ministry of Education was not doing justice to our students in Holland. I'm going to talk to the new minister coming in. I'm going to have a serious discussion with our new minister. Because this is not the quality nor the level of service that our students deserve. This is not the quality. We deserve better. But you know what though? I don't expect better from the government. Okay? It is clear, as the MP say, everything was geared around themselves, their friends, and certain individuals. And you know, I hope St. Martin people are taking a stock as to all that is going on. You know why? Because these same individuals, St. Martin is going to come again and ask you to vote for them. They're going to come back and ask you to vote for them. But it is clear that we have seen it here. Okay? They're not taking care of the elderly. They're not taking care of the taxpayers and the regular man and the civil servant on St. Martin. They weren't taking care of education. It is clear from this letter they haven't been taking care of our students abroad. Okay? Our infrastructure and projects is abysmal in this island. And you know, I was looking at something, right? The former minister of Ramitio Heilige had the opinion or belief only he could do projects and projects and projects. And I'm saying to myself, he was using the harbor as a piggy bank to fund his pet projects throughout the island. The taxpayers' monies was going to allocate to his budget as a ministry to do a number of projects. But do you guys realize the quality of these projects and the cost of these projects? When a little rain fall, look at the condition of the roads. Look at the conditions of the sidewalk. Look at the condition of all the projects that are being done. They are being done in a cheap, nasty, ad hoc manner. The quality is huh? Take a look at it good. You remember all the bricks they put on in the South Reward area and the Reward area? Drive up by the MPC school. Look at the entrance of the MPC school. Look at the conditions of it. Look at the roads. And we are spending millions of guilders and dollars we are spending on all these projects. And he have been doing these projects for years. He have been doing these projects for years. But when a little rainfall, we see the conditions that these projects are left in. None of them stands the test. None of them. But the harbor gets 6 new windmills and turbines. You see, the harbor could save money on the electricity bills. The harbor. All right? But we as the people of St. Martin can't get a saving on our bills as yet. You see the hypocrisy, the double standards? He has a windmill up at his home. He has a windmill up at his home to save he on electricity. Hypocrisy. And I'm always going to keep repeating it. The reason why we are where we are today simply boils down to nothing else but greed. And the wrong kind of greed. It's a nasty greed. It's a filthy greed. It's a greed, right, that they have, that they would sell their own mother. That's the kind of greed that it is. Because what they have been doing is selling out this country. Okay? I want you guys to drive past Port-au-Plaisance and you see the property then starting to get cleaned off and cleared off. Okay? The Airport Boulevard stretch. He has been buying up property after property after property because he know what is to come. You know what you just call that? You just call that insider trading. Martha Stewart went to jail for that. Okay? I mean, let me take off one. Who the hell he think he is? Who you think you be? That everything on this rock must be for you. Who the hell you think you are? Huh? The most prime piece of land, the island's patrimony and environment, you must just come and dig up and trench up and think for your cost. Huh? Or you sign off on all sorts of projects when it is that we're going to be politically mature. Huh? You don't have a majority anymore in government. Your government and your coalition has fallen. Tendered your resignation and get out of office. But you're signing off on this and signing off on that. All those major big projects that's going to deface the island hasn't reached to Parliament as yet. And as for you, Minister Hirishigimoto, as for you, the hypocrisy, the double standards, cost of living adjustment to be paid out in June by government. Which government? How dare you put yourself in a position to speak on behalf of the next government coming in? For 2 years, you couldn't get nothing done in terms of the cost of living. You couldn't get it done. But all of a sudden, now we're going to be paid out. Who going to pay it out? You? Because you sign off on it to cripple the next government? You guys are a set of wicked individuals in this country. And I hope that the people of St. Martin is taking stock as to what they are doing to the future of this country. And these are the ones that always say, for St. Martin. And now I want to put a burden on the boy because he decided to go independent and everybody else who lose their jobs. You guys are hypocrites. The 182 workers at Pelican who was losing their job, where were you? Up to this present day, up to this present moment, I haven't heard not one iota from the Deputy Prime Minister today. He hasn't said nothing on the issue. But all you can see is the little deal is going through. Hard Rock Cafes to buy Pelican, the casino license. You have big press conference and you're in the front talking, but you didn't know this was coming. So I have one word for you. Well, 3. Good for you. St. Martin people, again, I know we started late. Our apologies for that. But we have reached to the end of the program. And I know tomorrow I'm going to be saying, Christopher, the program too short. But we going to be back here at God Spare Our Lives on Wednesday. I am assuming, hoping that I do get a guest. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in again. Take care of yourself. God bless each and every one of you guys. Have a safe night. Good night.
Nothing, yeah. I can do, cure again, yeah. I want to know things without thinking about you. It's second nature to me. I will love nothing. If you were to leave, your love is urgent to me. I won't do nothing without you. Whoa, won't do nothing without you. Whoa, oh no. Whenever I wake up to your face, gotta praise you. Never knew love until I met you. Don't you take that lightly, no. Every now and then we go through pain. We're just human beings, learning each other every day. Yeah, I'm connected to you, girl. Can feel the power away just like you're next to me. I'ma be your galaxy, you be my world. Don't make a move unless you say okay. I want to know things without thinking about you. It's second nature to me. I will love nothing. If you were to leave, your love is urgent to me.
house into a home. Whenever you're here, I don't really mean to keep you captive, but I just can't get enough. I can be by your side at night and miss you when I go to sleep. You feel every void I have inside. You make my life complete. We need each other's love always. This I swear, baby. I want the nothing without thinking about you. It's second nature to me. I will love nothing. If you were to leave, your love is urgent to me. I won't do nothing without ya. Oh, won't do nothing without ya. Oh no. Nothing, nothing, yeah.
Okay, nothing can get me down. No way, no, not today, no. Okay, nothing
Christina.
can get me
Yeah,
down. No way,
Christina,
no,
Christina.
not today, no. Okay, nothing can get me down. No way, no, not today, no way. No way. Wave my troubles bye-bye, bye-bye.